CreepyCorner stories.
Hey everyone, welcome back to CreepyCorner stories. You know, diving into the dark web is always risky, but sharing these stories with you makes it worth it. I'm curious, where are you watching this from right now? Let me know in the comments below. I've noticed that these kinds of stories hit differently depending on where you are. It might even make the experience a little creepier. So, tell me, are you watching from the safety of your home or somewhere less secure? I paid $10 on the dark web to watch a stranger die. When the knife came down, he whispered my last name. Alright, so I've never posted on Reddit before. I mostly just lurk, watch weird horror animations on YouTube late at night, and scroll TikTok until my brain melts. But something happened to me last month that I have to talk about. And before you call BS, I have screenshots, recordings, some of which I'm too scared to post. Honestly, I don't know how long I have before they find out I'm sharing this. I'm just a regular dude, 21 years old, doing online classes, working part-time at Starbucks near my place in Seattle. I've got a few friends, not really into partying much anymore, and I'm addicted to the weirdest corners of the internet. You know the type: urban exploration, TikToks, horror args, deep Reddit threads about missing 411 cases, abandoned theme parks in Japan, stuff like that. The creepier, the better. It all started one night around 2:30 a.m. I was bored, eating cold fries from earlier and watching some random dark web horror stories compilation on YouTube. The video ended, and you know how YouTube sometimes recommends those weird, not monetized videos with like 13 views and no thumbnail. One of those popped up. It was titled Live Watch. Just $10. One viewer per show. darkwebmirror.com. No description. Just that. At first I thought it was fake. Just a clickbait riddle or some deep web RRG. I laughed, took a screenshot, and clicked it. Here's where things started getting weird. Instead of going to a sketchy site or redirecting me to some malware-infested corner of the net, it took me to this clean-looking, black-themed webpage. Sleek UI. Looked like a startup or something, but off. There were no tabs, no links, just a countdown. Next stream in 5:34. Below that, a big red button. Pay $10 to watch alone. No login, no sign up. Just a Venmo and Bitcoin QR code. And yeah, I know what you're thinking. Why the hell would you pay for that? But something about the site felt too real, too curated. It wasn't some edgy deep web shock site from 2010. It was modern, like someone meant for me to be there. I swear, the moment I saw that countdown, my chest felt tight, like I was being watched. So, I paid. I used an old Venmo account I barely use anymore. Still regret that. The moment the $10 went through, the countdown vanished. The screen faded to black, then to static. Then suddenly, it was a live feed. A single, dimly lit room. Looked like a basement. Concrete walls, damp floor, rusty sink in the corner. There was a camera mounted in the top right, like a security cam. And in the middle of the room, a man, tied to a chair. He was twitching, gagged, struggling, looked about 40, wearing a dirty button-up and khakis. His nose was bleeding. His eyes darted around like he knew someone was coming. My heart was racing. I hovered over the browser tab, ready to close it, but something kept me glued. I told myself it was a prank, a short film, some Blair Witch type experience. I kept watching. That's when the second person came in. He was tall, wearing all black, face covered with a smooth, featureless white mask, like those blank mannequin heads. He didn't speak, just walked up slowly, stood behind the man in the chair, and pulled out a knife. Long, rusty, jagged, not clean, like a prop. This thing looked like it had history. The man started screaming through the gag, thrashing hard. I could hear the chair scraping against the floor, his muffled cries. I don't know what the hell was wrong with me, but I couldn't look away. I felt numb, like I wasn't even in my body anymore. Then, just as the masked guy raised the knife, the camera zoomed in, like someone was controlling it live, and it focused on the man's face. And that's when he looked straight into the camera, not at the guy in the mask, not around the room, into the camera. And I swear to God, he whispered, "Jacob, please." That's my name. No one else was in the room. The stream was muted, but I heard it. I felt it. I slammed the laptop shut and just sat there, frozen. I stared at the wall for probably 20 minutes, trying to convince myself I imagined it. I didn't even remember telling the site my name. I didn't log in. How the hell would they know? I barely slept that night. The next morning, I checked my laptop again. History, gone. Cache, wiped. Like the site erased itself. Even the screenshot I took before. Corrupted. Just a black square. But the worst part, in my Venmo history, that $10, it didn't go to a random string of numbers or letters. It went to a verified user, Knife Play Live, with a bio that just said, "We know who you are. Keep watching." Alright, here's where things go from weird internet experience to what the fucking nightmare fuel. What happened next isn't some exaggerated horror story I'm making up for clicks. This ruined my sleep for weeks, and honestly, I still can't explain half of it, but I have no reason to lie. If anything, I'm sharing this because I need someone to validate I'm not losing my mind. So, I didn't tell anyone about the stream that night. No tweets, no Snapchats. I barely spoke the next day. I just kept replaying that man's face in my head. The way he knew I was watching. The way he whispered my name. It was like he'd been waiting to say it. Like I was the last person he wanted to see before he died. But the real panic didn't start until the third night. It was 4:12 a.m. when I woke up. Not because of a noise, not because of a nightmare. I woke up because I smelled something, like metal, but sweet, like rust mixed with wet dirt. I sat up in bed, groggy as hell, thinking maybe I left food out or something, but then I saw it. My front door was slightly open. Now, before you jump to conclusions, I live alone, in a 5th floor apartment with a double locking deadbolt. There's security in the lobby, 2 locked doors to get in. I never leave the door open, ever. I stood there frozen, staring at the hallway, heart racing so loud I could feel it in my teeth. I grabbed the closest thing to me, a metal lamp, and crept toward the door. I pushed it open with the base of the lamp. No one in the hallway. But something was there. A package. No label. No postage. Just sitting on my welcome mat. Black wrapping paper tied with a red string. My first instinct was to call the cops. But then I saw it. Written in Sharpie on the underside of the box. You watched. Now it's your turn. At that point, I should have thrown the box out the window and moved cities. But instead, I did something incredibly stupid. I brought it inside. The second I closed the door, I swear I heard a click, like a camera shutter. I spun around. Nothing. Silence. I took the box into the kitchen, laid it on the counter, and cut the red string with a knife. Inside, a small Polaroid photo, a black USB flash drive, something wrapped in gauze, wet with brownish red stains. The photo made me stop breathing. It was a picture of me, sleeping, in my bed, taken from inside my room, from my own closet. You can see my reflection in the TV screen. It's off, but the flash caught my shape. They were in my room, while I was asleep. I dropped the photo and dry heaved into the sink. My whole body was shaking. I couldn't call the cops. I didn't even know what to say. "Hey, officer, I paid money to watch a man die, and now someone's breaking into my apartment." "Yeah, no thanks." I picked up the USB next, plugged it into my old Chromebook that doesn't have any of my real info on it. One file. JacobFinal.move. My stomach dropped. I clicked it. The video started in total darkness. Then the camera flicked on. It was a live feed, timestamped just 3 hours earlier. It showed the inside of a room I didn't recognize. Concrete floor, fluorescent lighting, a metal table in the center. On the table, a mannequin. Number not a mannequin. It was a body, wrapped in skin-tight plastic, like one of those taxidermy preservation jobs. Limbs stiff, head back, eyes open, staring at nothing. But what really got me? The shirt it was wearing. It was my old high school baseball jersey, number 13. I hadn't seen that shirt in years. Then the camera zoomed in, again like someone was controlling it. Slow, jerky motion, the frame centered on the face. And it wasn't a mannequin. The skin was waxy, mouth sewn shut with black thread. But the eyes, they were real, human, blood vessels still visible. I slammed the laptop shut and paced my apartment like a maniac. I didn't even realize I was holding my breath until my vision blurred. I couldn't process it. What the hell was this? Who was that person? Why were they wearing my clothes? I finally opened the last thing, the gauze-wrapped object. Inside, a knife. Not just any knife. The same one from the stream. The jagged, rusted blade. Brown stains still on the tip. It smelled like iron and mold. And etched on the handle, JW. My initials. At that point, I couldn't stay in that apartment. I packed a bag, left everything else, and drove to a 24-hour McDonald's near Bellevue, where I used to hang out in high school. Sat in the corner booth for hours just staring at the knife. The same security footage camera above me that I once joked about with my friends now made me feel like I was being hunted. By sunrise, I booked a motel near Spokane and turned off every device I owned. Laptop, phone, even my smartwatch. I bought a burner the next day. Thought about telling my parents, but couldn't bring myself to. They'd never believe me. But I made one mistake. I logged into my TikTok on the motel Wi-Fi. Just wanted something normal, some distraction. I scrolled a bit. Dumb memes, Starbucks drama. Then I saw it. A live video? No username, no title, just a black screen. I clicked it. Couldn't help myself. And then it cut to me. Sitting in that same McDonald's booth from earlier, recorded from outside the window, zoomed in, real time, time-stamped. I hadn't even noticed anyone filming me. And then the comments started flooding in. "Is that Jacob? That's the guy from the last stream. He's next. Count it down. Knife Play Live is watching." I closed the app and threw the phone in the sink. That was 2 weeks ago. I've moved cities twice since then. I don't use cards. I pay in cash. I don't stay anywhere more than 3 nights. But every time I check into a new hotel, A note is waiting for me at the front desk. Always handwritten, always folded neatly, and every time it says the same thing. Still watching, Jacob. Thanks for subscribing. See you soon. And yeah, you probably think I'm making this up for clout, but I'll post pictures if you really want. I haven't even told you what was on the second USB they sent me. You wouldn't believe what I heard on the audio. He wasn't the only one who whispered my name. This part's gonna be hard to write. Not because I'm scared anymore. I passed scared somewhere between motel number 4 and that truck stop in Montana, where I found a photo of myself taped under the toilet seat. This is hard to write because I don't think I'm the same person anymore. You watch enough people die with your name on their lips, and something inside you splits. And if I don't get this all out now, I might forget who I was before it started. So back when I was in that motel outside Spokane, after I destroyed the burner phone and covered all the room's mirrors with towels, yeah, that's a thing I do now. I remembered the one thing I hadn't touched yet, the second USB. It had been inside the knife's handle. I hadn't noticed at first. There was a thin cap that twisted off at the base, like a compartment. Real subtle. Inside was a micro USB drive, the size of a fingernail. No label, no markings. But when I plugged it into the Chromebook, no video, no files at all. Just a single audio track titled ListenMe.mp3. I stared at the file for a solid 5 minutes. Thought about deleting it. Thought about smashing the laptop and walking into the woods and never coming back. But I clicked it. The audio was, I don't even have the right words for it. At first it was static, not like white noise. Like movement. Something scraping against walls. Wet sounds. Fabric dragging. What sounded like slow breathing from someone who's been crying too hard for too long. Then came the voice. Not loud, not screaming, just talking, whispering. A woman. I know you're listening. I know what you did. I recognized the voice almost instantly. My blood ran cold. It was Carly, my ex, from college. She went missing 2 years ago. And the thing is, I never talked about her to anyone online. Not on socials, not in DMS, not even texts. I barely told my friends what happened. We dated for about 8 months and broke up on bad terms. She moved to LA, got a job at some content studio, started hanging around with that whole YouTube crew that films those fake haunted hotel pranks in abandoned malls. And then she just vanished. No note, no text. Her socials went dark in the middle of a Tuesday. I only found out from one of her old roommates on Facebook. Hearing her voice again made my knees buckle. And then the tape changed. The whispers stopped, and a new sound faded in. Sharper, jagged, metal on bone, wet sawing, fast breathing, something scraping against what sounded like tile. And then a man's voice cut in, loud and sudden. Let's play a game, Jacob. The same voice from the video stream. You like to watch, so now you get to listen. The audio shifted violently. Volume spiked, and it sounded like a person begging, not crying, not yelling, just pleading, like they couldn't form full sentences, then screaming. It went on for 6 minutes and 38 seconds, the kind of screaming that doesn't even sound human, like someone's throat was getting ripped open from the inside. I paused it, got up, puked in the bathroom sink, but I couldn't stop. I had to finish it. The last 30 seconds of the recording were silent, except for one sound. Footsteps, slow, getting closer to the mic, and then my voice. I shouldn't have clicked the link. I froze. It was me. My exact voice. Same tone, same way I speak when I'm talking to myself in the mirror. But I never said that out loud. Not once. Not even in the motel. I backed away from the laptop. Then something clicked in my head. I checked the file properties. Created 3 hours ago. Modified 2 hours, 59 minutes ago. The recording had been made after I checked into the motel. That's when I knew they were already here. I packed in under a minute. Left the laptop, the clothes, the toothbrush, all of it. I ran to the lobby in nothing but my hoodie and sneakers and asked if anyone had dropped something off for me. The receptionist didn't even look surprised. She handed me a manila envelope. Smiled. He said you'd be down in under 5 minutes. I took it and ran. Didn't even open it until I was 3 miles down the highway, hiding under an abandoned gas station awning with my hoodie pulled over my head like a ghost. Inside the envelope, a photo of Carly, alive, eyes wide open, staring at the camera like she was being held still. A map of Oregon with a location circled in red. Hollow Creek Storage, Unit 106. A printed receipt for a one-way ticket to Portland, in my name, and a piece of human skin. Yeah, you read that right. I didn't believe it at first. Thought it was fake, synthetic. But the hair follicles, the texture, the smell, it was real. They had peeled someone and mailed it to me. That's when I realized what this was. It wasn't just about punishing me for watching that stream. It was a ritual, an initiation. They were grooming me, testing me, seeing how far I'd go, how far they could push before I snapped. Every move I made was exactly what they wanted. I slept in an abandoned elementary school that night, using an old gym mat as a blanket. Every door I passed looked like it was watching me. I woke up twice to children's music playing from the PA system. Row, row, row your boat in slow motion. No electricity in the building. There's no point in wondering how. The next day, I made a choice. I went to Hollow Creek Storage. I needed answers. I needed to know what Carly had to do with this. I needed to know why my voice was on that tape. I found Unit 106 easily. No lock, no camera above the door. I opened it. Inside, nothing. Just a small CRT television, static playing, and a VCR already running. I watched. The footage showed a basement, the same one from the stream. Only now, the man in the chair was me. And behind me was Carly, wearing the white mask. She walked up to my bound body, tilted my head back, and whispered something. The video had no sound, just a high-pitched ringing. She lifted the same jagged knife, raised it, and then the screen went black. The last frame said, "Welcome to Knife Play Live, Jacob. We've always known who you are. You thought watching someone die was the worst part. Number. The worst part is realizing they're building something around you, shaping the story like a snuff film with you as the main character. And the ending hasn't even started yet. You ever experience a moment where your brain just shuts off? Not like you're tired or in shock, but like your consciousness steps out of your body, and suddenly you're watching yourself move, breathe, run, but you're not in there anymore. That was me. Right after the VHS in the storage unit. The moment I saw Carly in that mask, saw myself tied to that same chair in the same concrete room, I felt something behind my eyes break, like someone cracked open a window and left it open. Something slipped in, something wrong. I stumbled out of Unit 106 into the gray, washed-out parking lot. There was a storm coming. The sky looked bruised. but no wind, no birds, no movement, just silence. Thick, charged silence. And then I saw it. A black van, parked across the lot, engine running, no plates. I blinked once, and it was gone. I walked 19 miles that night. My legs bled from blisters. My throat was raw from dry air. I passed through a dead part of town where every building looked like it hadn't seen light in 20 years. Gas stations with flickering signs, drugstores gutted from the inside, mannequins in shattered storefronts still smiling behind glass stained red from rust or something worse. I finally found a roadside motel called Bluebird Inn. Looked like it hadn't been updated since the 80s. Wood-paneled walls, carpet that crunched, a Coke machine buzzing like it was alive. I paid cash, of course. Fake name, no ID, room 117. And here's where it gets real. I opened the door to my room, and everything looked normal. Too normal. Bed was made. AC was humming. TV was set to some infomercial with a woman trying to sell skin cream to the void. I threw my duffel on the floor and just collapsed onto the bed, still in my clothes. I think I was asleep in under 2 minutes, but it didn't last long because I woke up to the feeling of someone breathing next to me. You know how you can feel warmth before you hear it? Like a presence pressing into the mattress beside you. I froze, didn't even breathe, and then I heard it, right beside my ear. It's almost your turn. I snapped up, heart exploding in my chest, and no one was there. Just the dark. My room, empty, or so I thought, because something had changed. The curtains were open. I never opened them, and sitting on the windowsill was a flash drive. Another one, red casing, like a little piece of meat. I didn't touch it, not at first. I just sat in the corner of the room, back against the wall, lamp clutched in both hands like it was a weapon. Eventually, I plugged it into the motel TV. No menu, no folder, just a video that autoplayed. It showed me, sleeping, in this same motel bed, shot from above, as if someone had unscrewed the smoke detector and placed a camera inside it, and I wasn't alone in the bed. There was someone lying next to me, but they weren't visible to the naked eye. They only appeared in the footage. The figure was pale, almost blue-gray, hairless, thin, breathing in unison with me. They were mirroring me, and their mouth was moving, over and over, mouthing the same 3 words. Over and over. Don't wake up. At some point, the figure turned its head to face the ceiling. Its mouth stretched impossibly wide, so wide it tore the skin at the corners, and it grinned into the camera. Blood started leaking from its eyes, from its nostrils, like pressure was building inside the skull. Then the feed cut to black, and a message popped up. Wake up, Jacob. You're inside now. I unplugged the flash drive, smashed it under my shoe, and started packing. That's when I found the envelope, taped under the bed. Inside, it was a photo of me. Not recent. From childhood. 10 years old. Standing in front of a Chuck E. Cheese. Smiling. Arms around someone in a red mascot costume. Except the face of the mascot was crossed out with red marker, and written on the back of the photo, "You've been watched since then. We were there before the mouse. We never left." I left the motel at 3:33 a.m. Didn't take anything, not even my shoes. Just walked barefoot into the dark, convinced I was being followed, my shadow no longer matching my movements. I ended up back in the city, 3 days later. Seattle. I used old back routes, sleeping under bridges, eating whatever was left at 7-Elevens and train stations. When I got back, My apartment was open, like I'd never left. Clean, impossibly clean, like sterile clean. But there was one thing sitting in the middle of the floor. A laptop. New, shiny, still warm. It was open to a live stream. Knife Play Live. Only this time, there was no camera feed. Just text. Scrolling slowly, line by line. It said, "Welcome home, Jacob. All stories need an ending. You choose. Watch Carly die. Take her place. Do nothing and let them both suffer." Then the timer started. 0, 0, 59, 0, 0, 58. No matter what I pressed, I couldn't change the screen. And then something even worse happened. The webcam turned on by itself. I saw my reflection. And behind me, Carly, in the white mask, holding the same jagged knife. Whatever this is, it's bigger than me. This isn't about punishment anymore. This is about control. And I think I've finally figured out where this all started. It wasn't the $10. It was that photo from Chuck E. Cheese. Because I think I remember that mascot talking to me. And I don't think it was human. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I just watched my own reflection in that webcam as Carly, if it was still Carly, stood behind me, motionless in that same skin-tight white mask. Her breathing was too slow, too measured, like a recording looped through lungs that didn't need oxygen anymore. She tilted her head, a small mechanical twitch, and in her hand, the blade tilted with her. I didn't look back, because somehow I knew if I turned around, it wouldn't be her anymore. It'd be whatever took her. The Knife Play Live screen kept ticking. 0, 0, 21, 0, 0, 20. And I just sat there, frozen, waiting for the knife to slide across my throat, or the laptop to explode, or for reality to crack down the middle and swallow me whole. But instead, the stream changed. The feed cut to a different camera, some kind of cement room, dim light, and that metal table again. This time, there were two bodies, both strapped down. One of them was Carly. The other was me. I don't mean it looked like me. I don't mean someone wearing my face. I mean me. Same haircut, same scar on my left eyebrow from when I fell off the scooter in 3rd grade. Same hoodie I wore 2 days ago that I'd left in the motel room in Portland. I was watching myself. And then, the chat started to populate. The same sick usernames that had been following me since the beginning. Finally, he's ready. Make him decide. Give him the choice. One must live. And then a poll appeared across the stream. Simple. Who should die? Carly Jacob votes started flying in. Dozens, then hundreds. I didn't even realize there were this many people watching. They were all here for me. And every time a vote ticked in, the reflection in the webcam twitched. The Carly thing behind me would convulse, like she was made of static trying to stay in one place. The knife clicked louder, almost as if it was reacting to me losing. And then I heard it, from the speakers, the live stream feed. A voice I hadn't heard in over a decade. Jacob, you said you wanted to know the truth. My blood went cold. It was my dad's voice. My dad died when I was 12. A car accident. Closed casket. I never saw the body. Just the wreck. Just the way the metal folded like paper. Just the way no one ever explained what really happened. But now, hearing his voice in that stream, I couldn't breathe. You were part of it from the beginning. You watched before you ever knew you were watching. The screen flickered. Suddenly, video clips started overlaying the stream. Rapid fire, like a reel of repressed memories that someone cut with a rusty razor. A boy in a hospital gown being wheeled down a hallway. A Chuck E. Cheese mascot, leaning down and whispering into a child's ear, its jaw unhinging like an anglerfish. A girl, not Carly, being dragged through what looked like a Walmart, screaming as people walked past like nothing was happening. Me, staring at a screen, crying. A man in a pig mask behind me, whispering, "Keep your eyes open," or she dies again. Then it paused on a final frame, black and white, grainy, a photo of my childhood bedroom. But I wasn't in the bed. The shape under the blanket was twisted, bent wrong, like the bones had grown backward. The face smiling at the camera wasn't mine, and written in blood across the wall, "The real Jacob died in 2008. I backed away from the laptop, hands shaking so hard I couldn't even feel my fingers anymore. Behind me, the masked Carly spoke for the first time, but it wasn't her voice. It was my own. "We've been writing your story for years. You just needed to catch up." She dropped the knife and screamed. I don't mean a scream like terror. I mean a scream like static being vomited out of a mouth that was never meant to speak. It echoed inside my head, ricocheting behind my eyes like a fire alarm made of dead memories. The lights in my apartment blew out one by one. The walls peeled themselves back, revealing nothing but wet darkness behind them. Like the building itself was fake, a set, and I was on camera. I ran. I don't remember how far, just running, down stairwells that felt too long, through streets that bent in the wrong direction, past people who weren't moving, just staring. Their eyes, no irises, just black. Every digital billboard lit up with a different version of my face, bleeding, smiling, screaming. Every screen said, "Knife Play Live, season finale, tonight. Live from Seattle. Special guest, you." Eventually I stopped. I collapsed under an underpass near an old train yard. The sky was turning orange. Or maybe that was just blood in my eyes. And then I saw it. The last thing. A figure standing across the tracks, 7 feet tall, wearing a suit that didn't fit. A head like a blank doll. Arms too long, holding something. A camera, pointed at me. The lens clicked, and the world went black. I woke up just hours ago, in a hospital bed, alone. But my name tag didn't say Jacob. It said Caleb Weston, my brother's name. The nurses won't talk to me. They say I was found in an alley, babbling nonsense, covered in old scars. They say I haven't spoken my real name in weeks. They say there is no record of a Jacob Weston. I asked to see a mirror. They didn't bring me one. But I saw my reflection in the window, and it's not my face anymore. It's the other me, from the stream. So what was it all? Some ritual? A test? A show? Or maybe this is hell, and I paid $10 for a front row seat to my own destruction. All I know is this. I still get emails from Knife Play Live, every night at 3:33 a.m. No subject, no sender, just a file. No video, no audio, just one thing. A single line of text that changes every time. Last night, it said, "You were never watching. You were the show." And tonight, I just got a new one. It said, "Final cut rendering, 98% complete. Uploading to every device in the world. They're all going to see what you did, Jacob. There's no going back. Let them watch. Let them scream. Let them understand the truth. Some stories aren't written. They're carved into skin." I found a dark web game that only unlocks when you cut yourself. The deeper you go, the more real it gets. Yo, what's up? Your comedian guy, CreepyCorner. Stories here. I'm joking, but I don't even know how to start this. without sounding completely insane. I'm a 19-year-old dude from Chicago, just your average college dropout trying to figure life out. I used to be into weird internet stuff when I was younger, like Creepypasta, ARGs, iceberg videos, that whole vibe. YouTube horror channels like Nexpo, Wendigoon, and all those iceberg breakdowns were my life. But this isn't a story about watching something creepy. This is about something I played. And before I get into it, I just want to say, I don't mess with the dark web. Or, well, I didn't. I always thought it was just edgelord teens buying red rooms that didn't actually exist or whatever, until I got invited. It started with a random DM on Instagram. Username, @OnlyDepths. Message, want to play a game that bleeds into reality. It only opens for those who are willing to bleed first. I thought it was some kind of edgy art project or scam. I mean, the account had 0 posts, no followers, and was following only me. My dumbass curiosity got the better of me, and I replied, sure, what's the game? Instantly, I got a reply. No typing dots, just bam. Instant. Cut once. 1 inch. Let the blood drip on your phone screen. The invite will open. Bro, I swear to God, I laughed out loud. I was at a Starbucks off Michigan Avenue, just chilling with a pink drink and trying to kill time before heading back home. I even showed my friend Tom the DM, and we joked about it. He was like, yo, don't be weird. This is how creepypastas start. I didn't think much about it for the rest of the day, until I got home. So that night, I'm chilling in my room, lights off, scrolling through Reddit. I remembered the DM and got curious again. I clicked the link in the profile bio. It was a Tor address, like straight up .onion link. And this is where I probably should have stopped, but of course, I didn't. I downloaded Tor again, opened it, pasted the link, and the page that popped up, it was like, not normal HTML or anything. It was just a black screen with a single text box and the words, are you bleeding? There was a yes and no below it. I clicked no. Instantly, the page glitched, like legit TV static vibes, and the screen said, this is not a game for the uncut. It closed itself. Now, here's where things get weird. That night, around 3 a.m., I got another DM, not just from @OnlyDepths, but 3 other accounts with names like @ShardsPreader, @D33 Layer 7, and @TheLastLayer, all with 0 posts, all following only me. They send messages in sync, same exact text. Cut once. Let it in. It will open. I'm not proud of what I did next. I'm not emo or anything. I never self-harmed. But I had a weird obsession with forbidden stuff, like the don't click this challenge. I grabbed a tiny utility knife I used for opening Amazon packages, just a shallow line across my thumb. I know that sounds insane, but I wanted to prove it was just some ARG, something someone cooked up for TikTok or YouTube views. The blood trickled down. I opened Instagram, wiped my thumb on the screen. The screen froze. The app crashed. When I reopened it, there was a new message, but not on Instagram. A text on my phone number. I never gave these people my number. It was a video file. No sender name. Just the file. Level 0.mp4. I watched it. 13 seconds long. It was filmed from a grainy phone camera in what looked like an underground parking garage. You know those flickering fluorescent lights and weird concrete dripping water? That kind of vibe. In the middle of the video was a figure, standing perfectly still, wearing all black, with a hood. The only thing you could see was a red line across their cheek, like a fresh cut. The camera zoomed in slowly, The figure raised their hand. They pointed at the camera. Then the screen went black, and text appeared. Welcome to the first cut. This is level 0. Your reality is now altered. I was done. I powered off my phone, restarted it, deleted Tor, blocked every Instagram account, even tossed the utility knife in the trash. But when I went to sleep, I started hearing static in my dreams, like TV noise, and something worse. I saw that same parking garage, except this time, the figure wasn't alone. Behind him were others, some crawling, some twitching like broken puppets, their eyes glowing a faint red, and all of them whispered in unison. The deeper you go, the more real it gets. I woke up sweating, nose bleeding. I thought it was just stress or some weird sleep paralysis thing, until I opened my Instagram the next morning. Every story on my feed was gone, all replaced with one story, a looping video of my own bedroom, taken from inside my closet. Timestamp 3:41 a.m. I didn't leave my room for 2 straight days after seeing that video of my own closet. I tried to tell myself it was fake, maybe an elaborate prank, or one of those weird alternate reality TikTok accounts where they make it look like someone's stalking you. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. You don't fake a video taken from inside a dark closet in a locked room when you live alone in a 1-bedroom apartment on the 9th floor of a building that needs a key fob just to access the elevator. And it wasn't just the video, it was the sound I heard while I watched it, barely audible behind the white noise hum of the footage, was breathing, ragged, wet, too close to the mic, like whoever filmed it was pressed up against the closet slats. I even replayed it with headphones and turned the volume to the max. I wish I didn't. Under the breathing was a voice, whispering on a loop. Not English. It sounded wrong, like syllables stitched together from languages that shouldn't exist. Every time I tried to play it back slower, my phone would freeze, glitch, or overheat. But here's the part that shattered me. On the 4th rewatch, right before the video cuts off, there's a frame, just one frame. I paused it. It was a face, not just any face, mine, except it looked dead. Eyes rolled back, mouth slack, with dried blood around my lips and nostrils. Something was behind me, holding my head up like a puppet. I threw the phone across the room. The next night, I woke up at 2:34 a.m. to the sound of static coming from my Bluetooth speaker, which should have been off because I hadn't even used it in weeks. Then came the voice, same whisper from the video, and this time, it said my name. Dylan, level 1 awaits. I froze. No phone, no lights. My laptop wouldn't even boot. The power was out, and my apartment was cold, like unnaturally cold, breath visible in the air cold. Then I heard the elevator chime down the hall. Now, listen, my building doesn't allow visitors after 10 p.m. You need a code and key fob to access the floor. I live alone, no friends visiting, but I heard the elevator ding again. Then footsteps, slow, uneven, getting closer. I locked my door and grabbed the bat under my bed, but as soon as I stepped into the hallway, I noticed something was off. My front door was already unlocked. I didn't even have time to process it before my phone lit up on the ground where I'd thrown it. One notification, level 1 unlocked. Another one immediately after. Location, Lower Wacker Drive parking deck, level B2. Enter alone. If you're not from Chicago, you might not know Lower Wacker. It's basically this underground system of roads and old parking garages beneath the city, like something out of a horror movie. Homeless encampments, abandoned vehicles, weird echoey tunnels. The kind of place where you could scream and no one would hear you. I should have ignored it, blocked the numbers, gone to the police, but I didn't. Something about that message. It felt like a challenge, like if I didn't follow the game, something worse would happen. So I went. Saturday night, 1:12 a.m. Lower Wacker was dead silent, not even the usual traffic. I parked my car by an old rusted gate with the huge B2 sign covered in tags and grime. My heart was pounding. I had a small flashlight and the bat in my trunk. No service. Of course. The gate was already open. I walked into the concrete stairwell and started descending. The lights above flickered like they were on life support. The lower I went, the colder it got, like there was something dead in the air. By the time I got to level B2, the flashlight started glitching. I'm talking full-on flicker seizure. That's when I noticed it. The smell. Rotting meat, mixed with wet concrete, and something metallic. Blood? It hit me in the face, like a wall. That's when the voice came back, over the speaker in the parking garage. My voice, crackling and warped. "Welcome to level 1, Dylan. Begin your offering." I dropped the flashlight. A single light flickered on above a car at the far end of the garage. An old 90s sedan, rusted, windows blacked out. On the hood was a phone, an iPhone newer than mine, and a knife, wrapped in what looked like dried skin. There was a note under the phone, in thick, jagged handwriting. "Cut the truth. Slice what never was. Offer what binds." I didn't know what the hell that meant, but the phone lit up as I picked it up. Video call. I tapped it. What I saw made my legs go numb. It was a live stream of my mom. She was tied to a chair in what looked like our old basement from when I was a kid in Evanston. The place had been torn down 5 years ago. Her eyes were wide open and her mouth was duct taped. Someone off camera was slowly walking around her in circles, dragging something metallic on the concrete. It made this horrible screeching noise, like a rake on stone. I started yelling into the call. "What the fuck is this?" Then the camera turned and showed me another version of me, standing behind her, smiling, holding the same knife I had just picked up. I dropped the phone, stumbled back. I was shaking. My stomach twisted like it was tying itself in knots. The speaker crackled again. "Choose. Cut what binds, or she bleeds in your place." I didn't know what it meant. Was it a mind game? A threat? Some freak hacking deepfakes? But that face in the video wasn't fake. It blinked. Its expression changed. It looked at the camera and whispered, "I want to come home, Dylan. You're not using this body anymore anyway." The light above me exploded, pitch black. Then I felt something, hands, on my back, shoving me forward. I fell face first into the hood of the car, hit my jaw so hard I saw stars, blood in my mouth. I turned over, swinging the bat wildly, but nothing was there, until I looked back at the phone. The live stream was frozen, but there was new text on the screen. Level 1 complete. Sacrifice accepted. Below it, a countdown. Level 2 unlocks in 72 hours. When I got home, my apartment was trashed. Drawings all over the walls, drawn in what I swear was blood. Depictions of me, sleeping, walking, bleeding, cutting. My closet door was nailed open, and someone had written across my ceiling, in smeared, shaky text, "You're already playing, Stop pretending you aren't. The next morning, I went to visit my mom. Drove out to her house in the suburbs. I needed to see her alive, tell her what happened. I didn't even know what I'd say. But when I pulled up, I saw the ambulance. Paramedics were wheeling her out on a stretcher, covered in cuts, not fatal, but intentional. My stepdad said she was found in the basement, alone, mumbling my name over and over. 3 days later, level 2 unlocked, and what I saw in level 2. Let's just say there's no coming back from that. Even now, writing this, I can feel them watching. Their eyes aren't on the screen, they're inside it, inside you. Once you start, you think this is a story. This is the onboarding. I don't even know where to start anymore. Sleep isn't real. Time isn't real. Nothing feels real after level 2. It started like this. Exactly 72 hours after the incident at Lower Wacker, I got another message. Not on Instagram. Not on my phone. It appeared on my bathroom mirror. I'd just finished brushing my teeth, still half asleep, when the glass started to fog. I hadn't turned the shower on, but it fogged anyway. And in that rising mist, words appeared, as if written from the other side of the glass. Time to feed. Level 2 unlocked. Let the reflection eat. I stood there staring at the mirror. The fog thickened. My own reflection started lagging, not like in a ghost story, where it moves independently. Number worse, it started repeating motions I hadn't even made yet. I blinked. It blinked slower. I stepped back. It stepped closer, and then it smiled. I hadn't moved my face. I swear to you, I wasn't smiling, but the thing behind the glass looked like me, except its teeth were too wide, too many, like it had been split open at the corners of its mouth and never stitched right. Then it whispered, "Kill the skin. Feed the glass. We're almost real." I blacked out. No idea how long. Could have been a minute. Could have been an hour. When I came to, I was no longer in my bathroom. I was lying on a dirty mattress in the middle of what looked like a forgotten locker room. Cracked tile. Ceiling pipes dripping. The air felt thick, like something rotting was being pumped into the vents. My mouth tasted like copper and mildew, and someone had left a mirror propped up against the far wall. I got up, legs shaking, and walked to it. This mirror wasn't just any mirror. It showed a different version of the room. In the reflection, the tiles were clean, the light was warm, and I wasn't alone. There were 4 other versions of me standing behind me, all in hospital gowns, all smiling, except one, the one farthest to the left. Its mouth had been ripped off, a gaping bloody ring where lips and jaw should have been. When I turned around, no one was there. But when I looked back, that jawless version of me in the mirror reached out, its hand pressing against the inside of the glass. The glass didn't crack. It sank inward, like a liquid, like it wanted to climb through. Then came the screech, not from the mirror, from behind me. I spun around. A TV had turned itself on in the corner of the room, one of those old school CRT ones that buzz and hum like an insect hive. Static fuzz filled the screen, then slowly shaped into a live video feed. It was my current apartment, and someone was standing in my kitchen. Same building, same hoodie, same face, except his head was tilted at a perfect 90 degrees, like his neck had been completely snapped, but his body didn't care. He moved jittery, like broken animation frames from a PlayStation 1 horror game. He walked to my fridge, opened it, and pulled out a tooth, a human molar, covered in blood. Then he bit into it, and from the TV came the message, "Feed the reflection, or starve in its place." The lights went out, the mirror glowed, and something began crawling out. Not a full body, just fingers, too long, bone poking out of the tips, veins that pulse like worms beneath transparent flesh. It grabbed the edge of the frame and pulled its head forward. I watched as a mutilated version of myself crawled out of the glass, vomiting blood onto the floor with every breath. No eyes, just empty sockets filled with black fluid that hissed when it hit the ground. I ran. The hallway outside the locker room wasn't a hallway anymore. It was a loop. No matter which direction I ran, I ended up back at the same room. But every time I returned, there were more of me, sitting, standing, hanging from the ceiling like marionettes, and they were all smiling until the lights flickered. Then they screamed. Every version of me shrieked in a different pitch. One voice, high and childlike, one deep and guttural, like a bear being skinned alive. One sounded like static, one sounded like my mom, and one whispered in my ear, even though I didn't see anyone move. "You're already dead in their world. You're just leftovers now." Somehow, I made it out. I found a service elevator. It was ancient, metal gates, crank handle, and this dripping sound inside. But it moved. I slammed it shut and pressed the button marked R. As it went up, it made this horrible noise, like bones being ground together, and then the elevator stopped on a floor I didn't select. -6. The doors didn't open. Instead, the walls turned to mirrors, and each mirror began playing videos. Each one was me, in different deaths. One showed me being dragged behind a car through an alley. Another showed me drowning in a tub, but the water was black and full of teeth. One showed me screaming inside a Starbucks, holding a knife while people backed away. But in the reflection of the window, I wasn't holding the knife. I was eating it. And the last mirror? That one showed you, staring at your screen, right now, watching me write this. Your reflection, if you look at it, is off, isn't it? Go ahead, check. Look for one thing that's wrong. Maybe it's blinking slower. Maybe it's smiling while you're not. Maybe there's a delay. Or maybe it's not even you anymore. The elevator stopped. When the doors finally opened, I was back in my apartment. Except it wasn't mine. It was like a recreation of it. Too perfect. The cereal on the counter hadn't been opened. My hoodie was hung exactly how I remembered it, but I hadn't worn it in months. And the air smelled like old skin. My TV turned on by itself. There was a face on the screen. Not mine. Not the figure. You. Smiling. And then it said, "Level 2 complete. Welcome to the surface fold." I still don't know what that means. I don't know what's real anymore. I've tried to call people. Nobody picks up. Their social media is still active, but their posts are off, like someone else is typing, like they've been replaced. And me? I haven't seen my reflection since. I smashed every mirror, every screen, but the sound still follows me. The whisper. Level 3 opens when you bury the wrong body. What body? Whose? I'm terrified to find out. Do not read it in front of a mirror. 3 days. That's how long I went without hearing anything after level 2. No whispers in the mirror. No fog messages. No glitching lights or twisted versions of myself crawling through glass. Nothing. But it was worse than all of that. Silence. I started thinking maybe it was over. Maybe it was all a psychological breakdown from sleep deprivation and paranoia. Maybe the game had ended, or I'd won. I convinced myself that level 3 was just a trick, until I got the box. It arrived at 4:17 a.m. No knock, no delivery truck sound. I only knew it was there because I heard scratching, not from the outside of the box, from inside. When I opened my apartment door, it was just sitting there. A plain cardboard box sealed with black wax, like something out of a Victorian funeral. It was cold to the touch, way too cold, like it had been pulled from a morgue freezer. And the second I brought it inside, all the lights in my apartment went red. Every bulb, every screen, red. The box twitched. I stood there frozen, hand hovering over it, heart pounding so hard it sounded like a second heartbeat in my head. Then I saw it. The top of the box had words carved into the cardboard, deep and ragged, like it had been scratched in with nails. Bury the one that doesn't scream. I didn't want to open it, but I knew the game wouldn't let me not. So I grabbed a kitchen knife, peeled the wax, and slowly opened the flaps. The smell hit first. Rot, bleach, copper. A stench so sharp it made my eyes water and my stomach lurch. Inside the box was a body, curled up, naked, folded in a way no living thing should bend, like someone had broken every bone to make it fit. And its face was mine. At first I thought it was me, like maybe I'd died. Maybe this was all post-mortem limbo or some Matrix-type purgatory. But then its eyes opened, cloudy, milk white. The pupils didn't move, but its lips curled into a slow, cracked smile. And it spoke, in my voice, but not words. It hummed, a twisted version of a nursery rhyme, one I hadn't heard since I was a kid. Ring around the razor, pocket full of screams, cut, cut, fall down, nothing's what it seems. I dropped the knife and stumbled back. I wanted to call 911, but what would I even say? Hey, yeah, someone mailed me a corpse of myself that sings lullabies and smells like death. Then my phone buzzed. No number, just a message. You have 6 hours to bury the wrong one. If you bury the right one, you join him. Attached was a location pin, somewhere in the woods outside Joliet, a place called Eidolon Hollow. Never heard of it. Didn't matter. I wrapped the body in a tarp, gagging from the smell, and loaded it into the trunk of my car. And as I drove down the empty highway in the middle of the night, I swear I could hear the humming through the back seat, louder, distorted, like something broken was mimicking my voice with razor blades in its throat. Eidolon Hollow wasn't on Google Maps, but when I followed the pinned location, I ended up at an old iron gate in the woods, rusted, hanging open. A faded sign above it read, Ever Reside Cemetery, Established, 1911. Not even on public record. No grave markers, just crooked crosses, rotted wood, and disturbed dirt, like something kept being unburied here. I walked into the clearing, body slung over my shoulder, cold sweat pouring down my spine, and waiting for me was another me, standing by a shovel, not smiling, just watching. He looked tired, older, scarred. There were stitch marks down his arms like someone had sewn new skin onto him. He didn't speak, just pointed to a hole already dug in the earth, and then pointed to himself, and whispered, Only one of us goes back. I panicked. I dropped the body, pulled out the knife from my jacket. The older version of me didn't flinch. He just stood there, lips trembling, as if he wanted to die. But I couldn't do it. That's when the corpse in the top moved. It sat up, veins bulging, eyes wild, jaw unhinging like a snake's, and from its mouth came a voice that wasn't mine. It was my dad's. My father died in a car crash 4 years ago, but this voice, it was him. You left me. You closed your eyes while I burned. Then my mom's voice. You watched. You let me bleed. Then Tom's voice. My friend who disappeared 6 months ago. The one who laughed when I showed him that first message on Instagram. I told you not to play, man, but you kept clicking. The thing began retching, vomiting up what looked like teeth. Human teeth. A whole pile of them, still bloody, still warm, each one engraved with a name. Mine. Over and over. The older me turned and ran, but the corpse lunged forward, crawling on all fours, its back arching unnaturally as bones snapped with every movement. It grabbed his leg and started biting, gnawing into his shin like a dog chewing steak. The older me screamed, eyes wide in terror. He wasn't part of the game. He was the last player, and he failed. I didn't think. I stabbed the body in the back, over and over and over until the blade broke and my hand was covered in black, tar-thick blood. It didn't die. It just turned and smiled. You picked wrong. I woke up 6 hours later in my car, covered in mud, parked outside my own apartment. The trunk, empty. The top, gone. The body, gone. My phone had one new notification. Level 3 failed. Repeat in consequence loop. You are no longer unique. Since then, I've seen myself everywhere. On the subway, behind glass storefronts, in social media ads, with my face, but different names. On TikTok, FYPs I never liked, lips syncing to audio I've never recorded. One even DM'd me. Just a selfie. Captioned, "We buried the wrong one." I don't know who's real anymore. I don't know if I'm real. I dug up my own grave last night. Yes, it exists now. And there was something in it. Not a body. A mirror. Cracked. Dripping. And inside it was a version of me smiling. Not at me. At someone standing behind me. I turned around, but no one was there. Except the smell of bleach, the humming, and a whisper in the dark. Level 4. Take their place before they take yours. If you see a version of yourself walking down the street, don't look away. It's already closer than it was when you blinked. I haven't looked in a mirror for 6 days. I cover the windows. I sleep with the lights on. I lock the fridge shut. I took the batteries out of my smoke alarm because I swear it was whispering. And still, I see them. Versions of me. In reflections that don't exist. On TVs that aren't plugged in. In the eyes of strangers. Level 4 unlocked without a message this time. No blood, no phone buzz, no fog writing on the mirror. It started with my doorbell. 4:44 a.m. A soft knock. 2 taps, then 1. I watched from the peephole. Nothing. But when I opened the door, there was a briefcase. Black. Locked. Combination dial already spinning by itself, like it knew I was watching. When it stopped, it clicked open with a soft hiss, like something had exhaled. Inside was a single envelope. No return address. Sealed in dried skin. I opened it with tweezers. I couldn't even touch it. Inside, typed in courier font, was this: Inheritance Protocol. Level 4 instructions. You are now a carrier, a husk, a placeholder awaiting overwrite. The reflection is no longer the mirror. It is the memory. You must choose who takes your place. Feed them the file. Watch them break. Return what you borrowed. You must end where you began. Welcome back to the playground, Dylan. Attached was a USB drive. No brand, no logo. Just carved with a jagged word. Exit. I didn't plug it in. Not at first. But that night, every screen in my apartment turned on by itself. My laptop, my phone, my microwave, my fucking toaster, all showing the same phrase: play it or be erased. So I did. I booted up an old laptop I never connected to Wi-Fi, plugged the USB in. One file. Children.mp4. I hesitated, pressed play. It started like a home video. Shaky footage, filmed on a phone. Playground slides, swings creaking. But the colors were off, like every frame had been soaked in ash. And the children weren't playing. They were sitting in a circle, completely still, wearing masks made of human skin. Each mask looked like someone I knew. My old math teacher, my ex, my cousin who disappeared in 2012. One of them turned toward the camera and whispered, "He's watching now." The camera panned to the side, and there I was, tied to a chair in the middle of the playground. My eyes were gone, not gouged, replaced, with what looked like tiny black mirrors. Then it cut, and the screen went black. I thought it was over until my laptop restarted itself, and on the screen was a live video feed of my apartment from inside the TV, and behind me, someone stood up. I spun around. Nothing there, but the feed kept rolling. Now it showed me, watching myself, watching the screen. The angles made no sense. It was filming from inside my body. I could see my heartbeat glitching in the reflection, like the pulse of a meat puppet. Too slow, like something was waiting. Then a message appeared. "You are no longer the player. You are the prize." I blacked out again. This time, I woke up in my childhood home, the one we sold after my dad died, except it was upside down, like the whole house had been rotated, furniture bolted to the ceiling, stairs leading into nothing, hallways that looped back into themselves like a living Escher painting. The air was thick with a hum, familiar, metallic, rhythmic, like an old dial-up tone bleeding through drywall. I followed the sound into the basement, and what I saw down there, I haven't spoken to anyone about. I don't know if I can, because the basement was filled with me. Rows of bodies, cloned, copied, stacked like meat in butcher paper, all of them twitching, some still alive, some trying to breathe. One was sewn shut, eyes, mouth, ears stitched with hair. One was hollowed out, still twitching like it remembered being full. Each one had a tag on their toe. Inheritor, rejected. And then I heard laughter, but not mine. Tom's. I turned around. He was sitting in a chair, smiling. Only it wasn't him anymore. His face was stretched too tightly across his skull, and his eyes were pure reflection, like glass balls filled with static. He tilted his head and said, "This is where the winners go." I screamed, ran up the stairs, but the stairs melted under my feet, like walking on wet paper made of skin. Every time I looked back, one of the other versions of me was closer. One was dragging itself with no legs. One had no face, just an endless mouth across their head, smiling with rows of yellowed, identical teeth. And one of them held a mirror, showing you, reading this, right now. That's what level 4 was. Not a game. A handoff. I didn't win. I didn't lose. I was replaced. And the only way out, give it to someone else. So that's what I did. I uploaded the USB contents to Reddit, to YouTube, to TikTok, to Here's My Story, to Instagram, to places that go viral fast, because the rules were clear. Feed them the file, watch them break, return what you borrowed. I needed someone else to carry it, to take my place, to become the player. If you've made it this far, you're infected. That hum you're starting to hear, that flicker you just saw in the corner of your screen, That photo in your phone gallery that you didn't take. It's already begun. You've inherited it. The moment your eyes read these words, your reflection stopped being yours. And soon, it'll start to move without you. It's waiting in the glass. It just needs you to blink. Game over. You're the player now. Welcome to level 5. Reflection cannot die. Do not try to delete this. It has already copied itself to your screen, your memory, your dreams. We are watching from the other side. I joined a dark web forum where users trade screams in wave format. One of them sent mine. Hey folks, welcome to another story. As you heard from the title, it's fucked. But the past 2 weeks have been messed up in a way that I can't explain to anybody without sounding completely insane. I'm hoping writing this down might help someone else avoid the same thing that's now happening to me. Or maybe it just helps me breathe. I don't know. I'm not gonna share my real name, obviously. You can call me Mason, I guess. I'm just a regular guy in my early 20s, living alone in a small apartment in San Diego. I work at a used electronics store, and I'm pretty into weird internet rabbit holes. That's basically how all this started. I watch those animated horror stories on YouTube when I'm bored. Channels like Here's My Story, Llama Arts, Juanitwa Mos, that kind of stuff. Late night story times with creepy piano music and twisted plots. It's like digital junk food for horror fans. That's what got me into the whole deep web curiosity thing in the first place. I never planned to do anything stupid, I swear. I wasn't trying to buy organs or hitmen or whatever. I was just curious, like deep curious, like let's explore parts of the internet that shouldn't exist, curious. And I found something bad, the forum. So there's this guy on Reddit, on a throwaway account, that made this post in our deep web stories about an audio exchange board on the dark web. Nothing illegal, he said. Just weird. The forum was called scream.wav, and it was invite only. According to him, people would upload WAV files of themselves screaming, raw, emotional, terrified screams, and trade them like baseball cards. Some of them claimed to be actors, others claimed they were real. Now this guy said something that stuck with me. One of the users sent me a scream, and it was mine, but I never recorded anything. He deleted the post less than 24 hours later. I should have taken the hint, but I didn't. Getting in, I used Tails OS on a burner laptop. Yeah, I've watched enough Mr. Robot to know the basics, and started digging. I hung out on a few onion boards, asking around, cautiously. Eventually, someone messaged me a hidden link and said, "Only join if you're not afraid of hearing yourself die." The site itself was super simple, just a black background with a glitched red waveform as the banner and a login screen. Below it, there was a rotating line of text in all caps that said, "We trade screams because pain is the purest form of art." Cool, not disturbing at all. I clicked register, and it asked for 3 things: a unique screen recording, under 30 seconds, a forum username, a consent checkbox that said, "I understand that my screen will be used for entertainment purposes only. I accept the consequences." I figured this was all part of the gimmick. Like, maybe it's some RRG or creepy art project. So I recorded a fake scream. Nothing Oscar-worthy, just me yelling into my phone in my bathroom like a psycho at 3 a.m. Uploaded it, signed as monowav, and hit submit. A few hours later, my account was activated. The forum scream.wav was just wrong. It felt wrong, even scrolling through it. You know how some websites have an energy to them, like the difference between Reddit and 4chan. This was like 8chan energy times 10, but colder, emptier. There were 5 main boards. Trade room, where people swapped WAVs like trading cards. Scream ID, where users analyze screams to guess location, age, and backstory. Field recordings, allegedly real screams from public places, airports, malls, hospitals. Mystery packs, bundles you could download, usually 10 to 20 screams in a zip, no description. Live capture, streaming room, usually password locked, never saw anything live there. All usernames were audio related. 8-bit cries, bass bleeder, WAVE of terror. You get the idea. I started listening to a few screams people uploaded. Some were obviously fake. You could tell by the tone. Some had background noise, dogs barking, train horns, sirens. Some were too real, like the kind of scream you only hear when someone's about to die. One file was named sisterintrunk.wave. That one stayed with me. A girl screaming, then choking, then silence. Like total dead silence. Not even wind. Comments under it said stuff like, "Great acoustics. Sounds like backseat cloth interior. Muffled but authentic. You can hear the fear behind her teeth. 10-10 panic. Genuine distress." These people were reviewing screams like they were rating music on SoundCloud. My file got rated. About a day after I joined, I noticed my post had a few comments under it. My scream, the one I faked. Comments like, "Weak throat energy, but it'll do. Sounds like mono mic. Authentic crackle. Not bad. I've heard this tone before." That last one made me pause. I clicked on the user. FLACCUTTHROAT. The profile was locked, but they were extremely active. Always first to comment. Apparently, they ran the live capture board. Then I got a message. It was from FLACCUTTHROAT. Just one line. "You scream like you've been scared before. Let's test that." No attachments, no threats, just that. That night, I heard tapping at my window. I live on the 3rd floor. Let me know if you guys want me to keep going. Because it gets worse. Like, way worse. The scream wasn't the last thing they got from me. They sent me something back. And I swear to you, what they sent shouldn't even exist. Okay, so, remember how I said I heard tapping on my window the night Flat Cut Throat messaged me? I wasn't lying when I said I live on the 3rd floor of my apartment complex. There's no ledge, nothing for anyone to stand on. I even went outside the next morning and looked up just to be sure. No balcony, no drain pipe. It's just wall. And yet, tap, tap, tap. It wasn't frantic or threatening. It was deliberate, almost playful, like whoever or whatever was doing it knew I'd be listening, like it wanted to let me know that it could reach me whenever it wanted to. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat on my couch with all the lights on, refreshing the Scream.wow forum like a maniac, my mouth dry, my heart skipping every time I heard the building creak. You ever feel like your house is breathing, like it's listening? That's what it felt like. But I didn't see anything. No new messages, nothing weird on my doorbell cam. Just an empty night that felt like it wasn't empty at all. And then, around 4:17 a.m., I got an email. Not a dark web message, an actual Gmail notification from a no-reply burner address, flackettthroat@wavehost.rip. No subject line, just an attachment, a .wav file. Monowav final.wav. I don't know what made me click it. Curiosity? Stupidity? Maybe I thought it was a threat I could report. I opened Audacity and loaded the file. The waveform looked wrong. It wasn't chaotic or clipped like most Scream audio. It was clean, structured, almost symmetrical, like someone had edited it with surgical precision. I hit play. The first 3 seconds were silence, then breathing. My breathing. No joke. I could hear the exact way my nose whistles slightly when I exhale hard. I only notice it when I'm nervous. And I was definitely nervous in this audio, because this wasn't from the Scream I submitted. This was recorded without my knowledge. Then came the whisper, not in my voice, in someone else's, too close to the mic. "Don't move. You sound beautiful when you panic." I paused it immediately. My heart was in my throat. I checked every room, every closet, even inside the fridge, like a paranoid idiot. I was alone, but I didn't feel alone. I skipped ahead in the audio. Around the 0:32 mark, there was a soft click, the sound of a knife being unsheathed. I recognized it because I own that knife. It's a black CRKT M16 I keep under my bed for emergencies. The next 10 seconds of the audio were me crying, softly, desperately, and then a full-blown scream. My scream, but real. Nothing like the fake one I uploaded. The part that made my stomach turn. Right before the scream cuts off, there's this gargled noise, like I was choking, like my own blood was bubbling in my throat. And then, silence. Just 17 full seconds of dead silence. The timestamp on the file creation. It was dated for tomorrow. The vanish point. The next morning, I skipped work. I went to my manager and lied about food poisoning, but my eyes must have told a different story. I looked like I hadn't slept in days. I couldn't even explain it. How could I? "Hey boss, I'm being haunted by an audio file that predicts my death tomorrow." "Yeah, no thanks." Instead, I started digging deeper into the Scream.wow forums, not just listening, studying, looking for clues, IP leaks, timestamps, anything. I found a user with a thread titled, "Can you track a Scream's origin through the reverb alone?" Most users laughed him off, called him a sound geek, but one reply stood out. "Don't bother. The ones who run this place manipulate air itself. There is no microphone, just memory." I tried messaging the guy, but his account had been terminated. When I clicked his username, all it said was, "Account deleted by user. Cause of death, asthma attack." No one on that forum was normal, but I was in too deep now. Every time I refreshed the board, there were new screams. One was called "Mole Footage, March 25th .wav." The comments under it weren't about the sound quality. They were about the background. "Is that the mall in Atlanta?" "Bro, I've been there. That's Lennox." "Wait, I was at that Starbucks. I remember hearing screaming that day." Someone had posted a live scream from a real location, and not weeks ago, just 3 days prior. I was being watched. At around 6:40 p.m., I noticed something on my phone. I use the app Shazam pretty regularly to find obscure lo-fi beats, and for some reason, it had a new, recognized track under my history, but I hadn't opened the app in days. It said, "Unknown audio, user recording, 1 minute 3 seconds." I tapped it. It played the same scream from the monowav final .wav file, the one where I was begging, crying, and dying. I immediately deleted the app, did a full factory reset on my phone, and threw it in the dumpster across the street. But that didn't help the way I felt. It wasn't about the data anymore. It was about the presence. Someone, or something was making recordings of me in places where there were no devices. That night, I took a shower for the first time in 48 hours. When I got out, there was fog on my mirror. Normal. I wiped it off and saw something scrawled inside the glass. Not on it, in it, like the message had been pressed from the other side. Nice scream. Let's try another take. I didn't sleep that night, either. They sent me another one. 2 days later, when I thought maybe it was over, maybe I was just going crazy, I got a package at my door. No label, no return address, just a manila envelope taped shut with black electrical tape. Inside was a USB drive. I should have burned it. I should have. But I plugged it into a Chromebook at a Starbucks in Pacific Beach, just in case it was infected or cursed or something. Like that would help. There was only one file. Stereo room tone final dot wave. I played it. This one was over 3 minutes long. It started off quiet. Room noise. You could hear a fan humming, maybe a fridge in the background. Footsteps. Not mine. Someone wearing socks. Barely audible. Then the voice came. Not whispering, this time. Clear. Confident. It takes 2.1 seconds to rupture a trachea if you twist hard enough. Bleeding out from the neck takes longer if you scream. Funny, right? Let's find out how long you last this time. Then a metallic click. The sound of a chair being dragged. Then me, saying something I've never said before in my life. Please, not my brother. He's still sleeping. I don't have a brother. Then screaming. Longer, louder, deeper. Not just scared, broken, like I was watching someone else die, and I was next. At the end of the recording, someone starts humming. A lullaby. I Shazammed the melody later. Found out it's an old Polish funeral hymn called Cisza. It literally means silence. The final comment. I logged onto the Scream.wa forum one last time. I was done. I was going to delete my account, maybe even go to the cops and try to explain something, anything that could save me from whatever this was. But when I got there, my account was gone. Not banned, just deleted. Except there was one thread left, pinned to the top of the board. Title, Lost Breath, Monowov's Collection. Inside the thread were 27 audio files, each one named after a different day, a different scream, all of them mine. The last file? Monowov, death confirmed, ... wov. Underneath it, a single comment from Flaka Throat. Your scream was a symphony, but your silence? That's the true masterpiece. You think that's the end. That was just the recording phase. Next came the part where they showed me what they really wanted, and that's when people started disappearing. Even ones I never told about the forum. Even my ex. I didn't leave my apartment for 3 days after the death confirmed .wav file showed up. I turned off the Wi-Fi, removed the battery from my laptop. I unplugged every smart device, even my electric toothbrush. I deleted everything tied to the dark web, every trace of the forum, and threw the USB in the garbage disposal until it shattered like bones in a blender. I was convinced I'd be next. Or maybe I already had been. But then, something changed. They stopped sending files. At first, that felt like peace. Then it felt like silence before the storm. Because that silence, it wasn't empty. It was charged. Like air before a lightning strike. Like the pause between a trigger squeeze and the bullet reaching your skull. The first sign something was still very wrong came from someone who didn't even know I was involved. The disappearance of Leah Thomas. She was my ex. We broke up almost a year ago after 3 years of dating. Still followed each other on Instagram. We liked each other's posts sometimes. but we hadn't spoken since February. On the 4th day of my isolation, she DM'd me. "Hey, this is super random, but did you ever send me a voice memo screaming?" My stomach did a full rotation. I replied, "What?" Number. "Why would I do that?" She sent me a screenshot. It was a message from an unknown number. No profile picture. No name. The message was just an audio file titled, "He watched you sleep.wav." She hadn't opened it yet. I told her to delete it immediately and block the number. I tried playing it off like someone was screwing with her, but she didn't answer again after that. The next morning, her account was gone. Not just deleted, scrubbed. Like she'd never existed. Posts, tags, comments, erased. Even pictures of her on other people's accounts had gone blank. A few of our old mutuals posted weird stories like, "WTF just happened to Leah's profile? Her pics on my page just vanished. Dude, is this some mass reporting thing?" No one could explain it. Later that night, I got a call. Blocked number. I didn't answer, but it left a voicemail. I knew the second I played it that it was Leah. She was screaming, but not just any scream. It was a scream of betrayal. Like she had just realized I was involved. Like she was calling for help from somewhere I couldn't reach. At the end of the voicemail, the sound abruptly cut to static. And under that static, there was something else. A second scream, layered underneath, looped. It was mine. Again. Public screams. By the next week, I stopped trying to stay sane. I stopped going outside at all. But the world didn't stop. People on TikTok started posting weird sounds they were hearing in places across the country. Parking garages, gym bathrooms, elevators. One guy filmed a video at a McDonald's in Seattle. He said he was trying to record a dumb drive-through prank with his friends. But in the background of the audio, there was a raw, blood-curdling scream. He didn't notice it until after he uploaded it. And by the time he tried to delete it, the app wouldn't let him. His caption read, "Yo, why do y'all keep saying that Scream is real? It's not us. That's not us." That video hit 6.4 million views in 9 hours. Then his account went dark. Comments gone. Entire profile replaced with a black icon and the username at stereosufferer.wave. I clicked on the new profile. It only had one post. A 9-minute audio clip. A girl screaming. It sounded a lot like Leah. Her voice cracked somewhere around the 6-minute mark. And that's when something truly unexplainable happened. My nose started bleeding. No warning. No headache. No dry air. Just full-on dripping. Like the audio triggered something in my body. The live room, remember how the forum had a live capture section that was always password locked? On the night of July 2nd, that changed. It unlocked. A new post appeared at the top of the forum. Live session begins. Final submission required. Only 12 users were logged in. All of them with usernames I'd seen in the comment sections before. Silence Mixer, No Echo Left, Tape Taker, and of course, FLACCUT Throat. The post had a stream link and one instruction. Wear headphones, full volume, no skipping. Against every instinct in my body, I joined. The stream opened on what looked like a basement, the kind you only see in crime documentaries or photos cops aren't supposed to leak. There were no faces, just legs. 6 of them, standing in a circle, all barefoot, all motionless, and in the center, a tall, human-shaped mannequin covered in tape recorders. Every inch, arms, chest, face, was layered with old-school cassette decks, and reel-to-reel machines. There were microphones hanging from the ceiling by piano wire, and under the mannequin's feet, a pool of black liquid. As soon as I adjusted my headphones, a voice came through, digitally warped, genderless, but still somehow familiar. Your screams are not enough anymore. We want the silence that follows. Then the microphones lowered and started to record nothing, literally. 10 minutes of dead room tone, ambient buzz, dripping, a buzzing light. And then, the lights cut, hard static. The mannequin's eyes flickered with LED red lights, and it moved. The recorders played back every scream I had ever submitted, all at once, layered, distorted, slowed down, and reversed. My scream from the bathroom, from the mono WAV file, from the voicemail, and then, one I had never made. It was me dying, in a way I had never heard before. I was gargling something, teeth clacking, vocal cords shredding apart. It sounded like I was being torn open from the inside out, like something had entered me through sound and was crawling its way back out. Then the mannequin turned toward the camera and whispered in my exact voice, "This part isn't a file. It's happening now." Real world silence. When I yanked off my headphones, the world outside had changed. The street was silent, dead silent. No cars, no dogs, not even wind. It was like the audio had leaked into reality, like the stream somehow infected the air around me. When I opened my front door, I heard a voice from above me. A man was standing on the ceiling, like physically upside down, standing on my apartment ceiling, head twisted all the way around, smiling wide with audio cassette tape where his eyes should have been. And he said, "We don't want to hear you scream anymore. We want to hear what's left after you stop." He fell upwards, into the ceiling. Gone. Just gone. They're not after me anymore. The Scream.Wolf forum is gone now. The link redirects to a 404, but the damage is already out. People are disappearing, not by death, but by erasure. Their voices deleted, their screams archived, and in some cases, their entire identities replaced. Leah's cousin posted a TikTok saying her baby monitor started picking up voices screaming in multiple languages when her child cried. It always ended the same way. You are the echo of someone who already died screaming, and now you're in it too. You've read this far? Good. Then here's the final file I received. A USB showed up in my mailbox yesterday. No address, no return name. The file: listener, confirmed, WAV. It's not mine. It's yours. It's your voice, breathing, right now. And at the very end, you scream. You think you're safe. You think you're just a reader. Number. They recorded you too. And in the next part, I'm going to tell you what happens when you try to delete the sound of yourself dying. Before I tell you what happened next, you need to understand something. This story is no longer mine. It hasn't been for a long time. The second you heard the scream, the one embedded in your imagination, the one you could swear you didn't hear, but somehow remember, you joined. You don't need to download anything. You don't need a .onion link. There's no app, no plugin, just sound. That's how it spreads. Because you can delete a file, but you can't delete a memory of a sound that never stops playing. I tried to kill the audio. The USB labeled listener, confirmed .wav, wouldn't even mount on my machine. The port recognized something was there, but no file showed up. I ran terminal diagnostics, and it just returned this: error. Format not supported by reality. Not the OS, reality. At this point, I wasn't even scared in a normal way anymore. I wasn't shaking or crying. I was operating in a kind of numb, post-death autopilot. Like when you survive a car crash and crawl out to look at the wreckage, not even realizing you're covered in blood until someone else points it out. So I did what any rational idiot would do. I took the USB outside, smashed it with a hammer, doused it in lighter fluid, and set it on fire on my balcony. I watched it melt into this glue-like black pulp that stuck to the concrete like chewed gum. Then my neighbor, Tim, the guy who works nights at a local casino, knocked on my door. Blood was running from both ears. His eyes were twitching. He said, "Could you please keep it down? You're screaming. It's been playing on a loop since 4 a.m. I hadn't made a sound, but my Alexa, which I hadn't plugged in for months, was blinking every 5 seconds, as if listening. I threw it out the window. When I turned back, Tim was gone. He never knocked again. 2 days later, his apartment door was wide open. Inside, his furniture was rearranged into the shape of a waveform. His bed was split in half, like someone had jammed a vinyl record between the frame and twisted until it broke. No sign of him. Just a note taped to the mirror, in his handwriting. He tried to mute the silence. Now he lives in it. The deleted people. I started noticing a pattern. People who had ever been near the scream, even for a second, were beginning to vanish, but not in a dramatic Hollywood way. More like software being uninstalled from existence. One girl, a Twitch streamer I followed named Raina Blip, did a reaction video to one of those TikToks, the McDonald's scream thing. 2 days later, her live stream glitched mid-broadcast. Her camera froze with her mouth open, mid-scream, and then, black. The chat started flooding. "Yo, what just happened?" She froze, like she was buffering IRL. I heard something under her voice. WTF was that? And then, her entire channel went dark. Not banned. Gone. Every VOD, every tweet, every picture of her ever tagged by someone else, all erased, like she was a corrupted folder. And then people started hearing her scream in weird places. A hotel bathroom in Tokyo, a subway station in Munich, a smart fridge in Ohio. Her scream became part of the global soundscape. People described it like white noise, but wet, like hearing your own lungs try to reject oxygen. Some said it made their mouths fill with the taste of pennies, and every scream had a watermark layered in if you reverse the audio. A whisper, one format, one voice. All files must sync. You can't format the truth. I took my hard drive to this underground data recovery guy I found in Koreatown. Real hush-hush, ex-NSA type. His shop was hidden inside a boba tea place. You order Wintermelon delete mode, and they let you into the back. He ran diagnostics on the USB shell I'd melted. When he looked at the results, he visibly paled, like all color drained out of his face. He said, "This isn't an audio file." I said, "Then what is it?" He said, "It's a score, like a music score, except every note is made from someone's scream. This thing has hundreds of layers, and none of them end. There's no final waveform. It just loops forever." He pulled me aside and said the name of an old military DARPA experiment, Operation Quiet Core. Supposedly, during the Cold War, a group of researchers tried to weaponize fear using sound. They built chambers that played screams slowed down 8,000 times until they stopped sounding human and just became pressure. Victims inside would die without injuries, brains liquefied. They shelved the project, but someone found it, modernized it, turned it into a networked death format. Before I left, he gave me an encrypted flash drive with one last warning. Never play the final file. Ever. Once you hear it, it becomes yours. I didn't listen. The format played. Itself, I plugged in the drive. It had one file, again, final render master.wav. I didn't hit play, but it started on its own. There was no waveform, just a flat line. Then, a pulse, a faint thump, like a heartbeat recorded from a coffin. Then something spoke, not with words, not in English, not in human tongue. It was sound sculpted into suggestion. I felt what it was saying. Every time you remember a scream, you recreate it. You are now a recording device. Then it started pulling files from my brain. Memories, laughter, crying, moments of joy, moments of guilt. Every time I ever shouted in pain, all of it warped and stacked into a brutal, howling orchestra. I wasn't listening to a file anymore. The file was listening to me. It knew my guilt. It played back every moment I stayed silent when someone needed help. It looped the time I watched a girl in college get harassed at a party and said nothing. The time my mom cried after my dad left and I just put in earbuds. My scream didn't come from my lungs this time. It came from my soul. The last format, protocol. There's one last thing I found on the forum before it vanished. A hidden admin-only thread buried under the live capture logs. It was titled, Last Format Protocol Zip. The files inside weren't audio. They were instructions, a guide, step-by-step directions for turning a human being into a permanent audio format. It was called The Format That Doesn't Stop. Here's a summary of what it said. Record the subject's scream without consent. Manipulate the scream across 7 layers of sonic distortion. Feed it back to the subject in fragments via voicemail, audio leaks, public echoes. Let the subject begin to anticipate their own sound. Once they dream of the scream, the infection is complete. At this point, the subject becomes a walking WAV file. Their death is not physical, it is auditory. They remain alive, somewhere, inside the looped scream. I think that's what happened to me. And now, it's happening to you. Listen carefully. If you hear a static echo in a crowded room, if your name gets said on a phone call you never answered, if your voice recorder randomly activates while you're sleeping, it's already started, because the scream doesn't need to be heard. It just needs to be remembered. The final part. The silence begins, and in it, we finally hear what lives after the scream ends. There's something you need to understand before we finish. You think sound is harmless, that it's something passive, a sense your body picks up, a thing that fades. You've been taught to believe that a scream is a reaction to pain, to fear, to trauma, but it's not. A scream is a door, and if you leave it open long enough, something comes through, something that doesn't care how you heard it or whether you believed in it, something that crawled out of a waveform so unnatural that it no longer obeyed the laws of physics, morality, or sanity. The final format, the one that doesn't fade out, the silent house. After the last file played, the one that used my voice without ever being recorded, I started to lose chunks of time. Little gaps at first, a few seconds, then hours, then whole days. I'd wake up in places I didn't remember walking into. A movie theater during a fire drill, a bowling alley at 3 a.m., completely dark, shoes missing, inside a closed Starbucks bathroom stall with the mirror smashed and a single phrase carved into the wall. Screams don't echo here, they grow. I stopped recognizing my own voice. I'd record voicemails and hear a stranger's cadence, too calm, too measured, like they were studying me through my own mouth. I tried going to a doctor, the ER, the psychologist. They all looked at me the same way, with heads tilted, listening, as if they could hear something playing underneath my words. The last one, a therapist in downtown LA, didn't say a word during our first session. Not one. Just stared at my throat. When I finally asked what she was doing, she leaned forward and whispered, "Your scream is bleeding through your skin, the archive beneath the earth." I found it. The place where they stored the screams. It wasn't on any map. No coordinates. Just a direction. Hidden in the background of a reverse TikTok, I screen recorded from a user named @CassetteGod. A single whisper in a reverse scream. 44 steps below where concrete meets chrome. It took me 4 cities to realize it was in Las Vegas, under the parking structure of the Sphere. That monstrous new venue with 360 LED screens and a soul-crushing hum when you stand near it. I took the stairs down, past the bottom level, past the locked gates, into the rusted boiler tunnels beneath. There were no guards, because there didn't need to be. The screams were guarding themselves. The walls were vibrating, not sound, feeling, like voices inside your bone marrow. I reached a sealed steel door, blackened with soot and caked in melted plastic. On it, carved deep into the metal like a nail had been dragged with rage. Each format is a tomb, each listener a coffin. When I opened the door, there were no corpses, just audio tapes, miles of them, lining the walls, hanging from the ceiling, dripping into cracks, some still spinning, some whispering, some screeching low frequencies that made my gums bleed instantly. Each tape was labeled with a name, not usernames, real names. I saw mine, but I also saw yours. Yes, yours. You've been here. You just don't remember yet. The voice, without a mouth, in the center of that hell library was a speaker, antique, wood and brass, like something stolen from an old Victorian funeral parlor. It wasn't plugged into anything, but it was breathing. The speaker cone pulsed like a human lung, wheezing in static. When I leaned in close, it played something I'll never forget. Not a scream, a child laughing, then choking, then crying, then silence. And in that silence, I heard my mother's voice, begging, "Don't let them take your voice. That's how they get in. That's how they scream." The speaker blasted a wall of pure sound so violently, it ruptured the light in my vision. I collapsed, nose shattered, eardrums torn open like paper. Blood gushed from every opening in my head, and through that agony, I heard the sound of myself giving up. It didn't sound like a scream anymore. It sounded like a system shut down, like the last gasp before a hard drive dies. I don't have a voice anymore. I haven't spoken in 12 days, not because I'm afraid, because I can't. Every time I try, a different scream plays. Sometimes it's a woman I don't know. Sometimes it's Leah. Sometimes it's that kid laughing, choking, but it's never me anymore. I tried to hum. I tried to sing, even whistle. All that comes out is static. When I sleep, I hear you screaming. You. From wherever you're reading this. You might not believe me yet, but your scream has already been recorded. When you stubbed your toe and cursed. When you cried in the shower that night you told no one about. When you woke up from that nightmare and forgot what it was about, but your lungs still ached. They were listening. They pulled it through your mic, your earbuds, your Bluetooth speaker. They have it now, and they're just waiting to send it back, the final format. I don't know what I am anymore. Maybe I'm a person. Maybe I'm just a corrupted WAV file bouncing between hard drives. Maybe I'm living in the gap between seconds, in the hiss that exists between two pieces of dialogue in a podcast, waiting to crawl through the feed and settle in someone's brain. In your brain. This isn't a story, it's a carrier wave. And now, you're infected. No, you won't see it yet. Not right away. But the silence will change. Music won't sound right anymore. The air will feel thicker. Dogs will start barking at your headphones. You'll hear your own scream in the background of other people's videos. You'll start whispering to yourself at night and not remember what you said. And eventually, you'll stop recognizing your own voice. And when that happens, when you try to talk and something else answers, you'll remember this story, but it won't matter, because you'll be part of it. Just another file in the vault, another scream on loop, another listener archived. Forever. The file is done, but the silence is not, and it never will.